Welcome to a Pavo Real Writers Group book review of Michael Hillsgrove, latest book, Daimyo. This is the third book of the Child of Shadow series. This deep dive goes into a great deal of detail into the culture and politics of the samurai court. Sit back and relax as we peer into the microscope of the book, Daimyo.
Usually when you picture the most dangerous person in a hyper-rigid, deadly samurai court, you probably imagine like a towering, heavily armored warrior.
Oh, absolutely. Some master swordsman who just commands absolute terror the second he walks into the room.
Exactly. But what if the most formidable, completely disruptive force in the entire castle isn't a giant warlord at all?
Right.
What if instead it's a tiny, pregnant, bald nun who absolutely refuses to kill anyone?
It's such a wild concept because it forces us to completely reevaluate what actual power looks like.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to equate dominance with physical force, or loud authority. But true leverage often comes from the places and honestly the people we least expect.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are taking you into the fictional, incredibly cutthroat world of the Sengoku period. We're exploring excerpts from the book Daimyo, which is book 3 of the Child of Shadow saga by Michael Hillsgrove.
And there's this really specific visual element included in our source material that perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to unpack.
Yes, the image of the threefold Tomo symbol.
Right, so think of three swirling teardrop-like commas chasing each other in a continuous circle.
Like a really dynamic yin-yang almost.
Exactly like that. It's this brilliant metaphor for the three intertwining forces driving this specific narrative. You have the rigid, honor-bound samurai hierarchy.
Right.
You have the pragmatic, completely lethal cunning of the shinobi or ninja. And then, swirling right alongside them, you have the raw, entirely overlooked power of the peasant class.
So our mission for this deep dive is to basically extract a masterclass in unconventional power dynamics from this story. Because we're looking at a fundamental question for anyone listening who has ever felt outmaneuvered. I mean, how do you survive and ultimately conquer a system that is entirely stacked against you?
You do it by importing a currency your enemies don't even possess, let alone understand.
I love that. So let's look at this bizarre fellowship traveling together to Kumi Castle.
It is quite the group.
Right. First, we have Princess Yumi. She's a disgraced royal who survived her exile by working at an inn as a patient.
Which is an entertainer, essentially forced into sex work.
Exactly. So she has royal blood, but she knows the absolute lowest, grittiest rungs of society.
She completely understands the transactional nature of human survival, far better than anyone in a palace ever could, really.
Yeah. And then we have Miki, affectionately called Bumblebee by her husband Katsu.
I love that nickname.
It's so cute. But she is a pregnant Koga kunoichi, a female ninja. But here's the twist. She was actually raised as a Buddhist nun.
Right, known as the imp from heaven.
Yeah. She is tiny, bald, smells of the road, and is fiercely devoted to protecting Yumi.
And then rounding out the trio is Lady Osho, the stone dragon.
The mother-in-law figure from hell, basically.
Pretty much. An older, haughty noblewoman and a former bitter enemy. Her life and her son's life were recently spared by Miki's adoptive brother, the legendary warrior Taka.
Reading about Miki and Yumi traveling together, it honestly feels like a flick buddy cop movie.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Because you'd think the world-weary, cynical, street-smart veteran is the assassin.
But no, that's the spoiled princess.
Exactly. The lethal weapon of the duo is the perpetually polite, deeply empathetic, tiny, pregnant nun.
And the socio-political context of the Sengoku period makes this dynamic incredibly volatile. I mean, this is a culture defined by strict class boundaries.
Very rigid expectations of duty.
Right. You are born into your role, and you die in your role. Yet here is Miki, a highly trained assassin who harbors a profound hatred for killing.
Which is kind of a problem for an
It's
assassin.
a little bit. And Yumi, a high-born princess forced to navigate the darkest corners of human nature.
It's also flipped.
It really is. Taka's initial act of mercy-sparing Lady Osho rather than executing her for treason as the rules of their world dictate, it just shatters the established hierarchy.
So the rigid constraints of samurai duty are suddenly replaced by a very fragile, unpredictable alliance built on gratitude.
And personal obligation, yeah.
Which sounds beautiful in theory. But, as we see pretty quickly, this flip dynamic becomes a massive life-or-death liability once they actually hit the road.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Yumi might have learned the harsh realities of the world, but she is still incredibly selfish.
Yeah, she hasn't lost that royal entitlement.
Not all. And when her bad habits threaten the survival of the entire group, Miki is forced to intervene. So picture this scene. They are in this dimly lit, hazy gambling den in a small town.
Such a tense scene.
It really is. Yumi is in her element, using her sharp tongue and hot dice to cheat these poor, drunk peasant farmers out of their last few coins. She's taken 18 dini from one young man.
And to put that in perspective for you, 18 zini isn't like pocket change for a peasant in this era.
Right, it's a huge deal.
That is the difference between surviving the winter and literally starving to death. Yumi is essentially stealing his life.
So Miki walks in, sees this travesty, and just snaps out of her subservient, polite bodyguard role. She sits down right across from Yumi.
And the entire room goes dead silent.
Yes. And Miki wagers the only thing of true value she possesses. Her brother Taka's legendary sword.
Which is insane.
Totally unhinged.
Ugh.
She bets it all on a single dice roll evens, or odds to force Yumi into total, unquestioning obedience.
And Yumi is terrified, but, you know, she rolls the dice.
Miki calls evens. Yumi lifts the cup,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the 2 and a 6. Evens.
Miki wins.
She wins, breaking Yumi's ego right then and there. But okay, let's pause and really look at this strategy.
Sure.
Because Miki is supposed to be a highly trained ninja leading a covert escort through enemy territory.
Right.
Wagering her most precious magical weapon in a room full of drunk thugs on a 50-50 dice roll is, I mean, it's completely reckless.
From a traditional standpoint, yeah.
And right after this, she delays their entire journey. She risks capture by enemy patrols just to stay in a village and save a peasant child from a deadly fever using wood ash and water.
Which is a brilliant medical detail, by the way.
It is, but as a covert operation, this seems like terrible strategy.
Well, if we evaluate her actions through the lens of conventional military strategy, it absolutely looks like sheer foolishness.
Right.
A samurai would never delay a vital mission for a sick peasant. But Miki operates on a completely different strategic paradigm. The law of karma.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
She isn't thinking about short-term tactical advantages or covert speed, right? She is actively making long-term investments in human capital.
But, I mean, karma doesn't block a sword swing. Relying on cosmic justice in a world of assassins sounds like a really great way to get killed.
You'd think so.
How does this actually protect her in the immediate physical moment?
Because karma, at least in Miki's application of it, isn't just some mystical abstract concept. It's a tangible sociological mechanism.
Oh, interesting.
When she physically fights death to save that young girl, exhausting herself completely, she isn't just being altruistic. She is cultivating a currency that weapons and armor literally cannot buy.
Which is what?
The absolute fanatical loyalty of the populace. In a feudal system, the peasantry are invisible to the ruling class. By seeing them, by valuing their lives over her own mission, she binds them to her.
And the return on that investment is incredibly fast.
Almost immediate.
Because right after she saves the child, the local thugs, who are still angry about the gambling incident, they corner Miki in the street to assault her and steal the sword.
And Miki is completely exhausted from the healing.
Right. She handles a couple of them, but then a giant thug picks her up, ready to just crush her. And it's not her ninja skills that save her.
Nope.
The grateful townspeople actually rise up. A whole mob of peasants beats the giant and rescues Miki.
Exactly. Her radical compassion functions as her ultimate defense mechanism.
That is so cool.
She survives because she made herself indispensable to the community. And think about how this applies outside of a fictional samurai story for a second.
Yeah, how does this translate for the listener?
Well, in any hierarchical organization, the people at the top hold the formal authority. But the people at the bottom, the administrative staff, the line workers, the junior employees, they control the actual flow of work.
Oh, for sure. If the admins don't like you, you're doomed.
Exactly. If you build genuine social capital with the people who do the heavy lifting, they will form an invisible shield around you when the executives come looking for a scapegoat.
That is such a great takeaway. But that transition from the mud of the villages to the polished floors of a palace is where the real test begins for Miki, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The stakes get so much higher.
Right, because Miki's karmic investments save them in the rain. But once they finally cross the threshold into Kumi Castle, they enter a completely different ecosystem.
It is a world ruled entirely by political theater.
And incredibly fragile egos.
Yes.
The arrival at Kumi Castle is terrifying. Katsumiki's husband and the heir to Kumi Kamishli, he arrives home to face his father, the cold, brutal Lord Shigenori.
And right by Shigenori's side is the manipulative Lady Chiyo, dressed in this brilliant, intimidating green and gold kimono.
Lady Chiyo is terrifying.
She really is. She is the architect of the court's toxic politics. She completely understands that power in Kumi Castle is maintained by keeping everyone else off balance.
And she orchestrates a horrific trap the moment Katsu walks through the gates.
It's so calculated.
To punish Katsu for supposedly failing to protect Princess Yumi, who the court assumes is dead, Shigenori orders Katsu to personally execute 13 innocent peasants right there in the castle courtyard.
It's a sadistic test of obedience.
Totally. It's designed to humiliate Katsu and turn the common people against him before he can even claim his inheritance.
But Katsu pulls off a brilliant countermove.
He really does. He brings out the supposedly dead Yumi, proving he didn't fail. The trap is sprung.
And then Miki steps forward.
Yes. Dropping to her knees, offering her own blood to spare the prisoners' lives.
Which leaves Shigenori completely humiliated in front of his entire court.
Right, he's trapped by the logic of the situation, so he has to spare the peasants.
This scene perfectly illustrates the translation of raw emotion into political leverage. Shigenori attempts to use the peasants as props in a dominance display.
Right.
But Katsu and Miki flip the script, turning those same peasants into a mirror that reflects Shigenori's cruelty back at the court.
I have to ask, though, because Katsu plays this scene perfectly. But is he actually a good guy here, or is he just weaponizing his wife's genuine, pure goodness to score points against his father and Lady Chiyo?
That tension is literally the core of Katsu's character.
Because it feels a little manipulative.
It is. He is acting as a political translator. He takes Miki's uncalculated empathy and converts it into cold, hard political capital.
Wow. Okay.
See, Lord Shigenori has ruled Kumi province through sheer fear and brutality, and it is failing. The populace is completely alienated.
They're ready to snap.
Exactly. The people despise the Yorisada clan and are on the verge of revolt. Katsu is a pragmatist. He knows he cannot inherit and hold an unstable province through fear alone.
So he needs a new strategy.
Right. He recognizes that Miki's radical compassion is the exact public relations tool he needs to legitimize his future rule.
That makes so much sense.
He disarms Lady Chiyo's deadly trap, lets his father save face by sparing the prisoners, and simultaneously paints himself and his wife as the merciful saviors of the people.
He's playing an entirely different game.
Completely.
While Chiyo is trying to win the day's argument, Katsu is trying to win the decade.
That's a great way to put it.
But mastering court politics isn't just about winning grand public showdowns in the courtyard.
No, not at all.
The sources make it clear that surviving Kumi Castle requires navigating this invisible, highly explosive minefield of male pride.
Yes.
And this is exactly where the innocent, well-meaning Miki makes a near-fatal miscalculation.
Because Miki fundamentally misunderstands the psychological currency of samurai culture.
How so?
She operates on merit and truth, completely ignoring the fragile architecture of honor.
There is this remarkably tense scene in the castle sandpit that illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, the sandpit scene. Yes.
Miki is out there practicing the dance of death sword form. She's drawing a crowd of guards and nobles.
She's doing her thing.
Right. And then a loudmouth, arrogant young samurai named Jushiru starts taunting her, making fun of her size, her bald head, her gender.
Huge mistake on his part.
Huge. Because Miki, treating it like a practical martial arts lesson, simply challenges him. Using only a wooden bokken, she effortlessly and publicly humiliates him in front of everyone.
Including General Ashikaga and Lady Chiyo.
Yes. She just leaves him in the dirt.
And in Miki's mind, the transaction was simple, right? He lacked discipline, so she provided a lesson in controlling emotions during combat.
She thinks she's being helpful.
Exactly. She assumes the matter is settled because she won the physical exchange.
But Yumi, who is watching all of this, is absolutely furious.
She sees the danger immediately.
She does. She pulls Miki into a private room and actually slaps her across the face.
Which is shocking.
It is. But Yumi delivers a harsh, vital truth about their world. She explains that in a patriarchal system where women have no formal authority, a man's pride is the only lever women have to control them.
Yes.
By publicly destroying Jushiru's pride, Miki didn't just win a sparring match. She created a deadly, unpredictable enemy.
Someone who has nothing left to lose.
Exactly. No honor left to protect and someone who can no longer be reasoned with.
Yumi completely understands the sociological reality that Miki ignores. Stripping a man of his honor in a shame-based culture is a death sentence.
Either for him or for the person who shamed him.
Exactly. By proving her martial superiority, Miki actually made herself politically defenseless.
Wow.
Lady Chiyo now has the perfect, highly motivated weapon in Jushiru to assassinate Miki, and he will do it just to reclaim his standing.
How many times do you see this exact dynamic play out in modern settings, though?
All the time.
Think about the Jushirus in your own workplace or social circles, the people whose pride is literally their only real asset.
Yeah, we all know someone like that.
If you publicly humiliate them, even if you are 100% technically correct and have the skills to back it up, you don't really win.
No, you don't.
You just create a permanent enemy who will actively sabotage you in the shadows.
Precisely. Winning the argument can often mean losing the war if you don't leave the other person a graceful way to retreat.
But once again, Katsu sees the impending disaster and turns it into the ultimate victory.
His solution here is incredible.
It is an absolute masterstroke of manipulation.
Yeah.
He knows Chiyo will try to use the humiliated Jushiru to kill Miki. So Katsu sends Miki out of the castle, down into the town, where she performs a literal medical miracle.
This scene is so intense.
She delivers twins by performing a C-section, cutting open the mother's stomach, saving 3 lives in a community that is completely used to their lords only taking life.
It's a huge contrast.
And while she is down there covered in blood, being hailed as a hero, Katsu secretly orders his own guards to arrest Miki.
It's so twisted.
They drag her back to the castle in bonds, while Katsu's agents spread a rumor that Lord Shigenori plans to execute her.
It is a breathtakingly cynical orchestration of public sentiment.
He planned the whole thing.
Katsu intentionally manufactures a crisis to force his father's hand.
It's like Katsu orchestrated a fake corporate scandal just to show the rigid board of directors that his wife has a 100% approval rating with the consumers.
That is exactly what it is.
He puts her in handcuffs to prove she's untouchable.
And the geopolitical payoff of that manufactured crisis is immediate. An angry mob of peasants surrounds Kumi Castle.
And they aren't there to burn it down.
No, they're there singing Miki's praises, demanding the release of the woman who heals them. Lord Shigenori looks down from his balcony at this tiny, dirty, blood-stained woman, and the reality of the situation finally clicks.
He realizes he's outmatched.
He is a warlord. He commands armies, but armies require rice, and rice requires farmers.
The people at the bottom hold up the entire structure.
Shigenori realizes that this woman controls the hearts of the people who farm the land and pay the taxes that fund his entire military machine.
Without their compliance, his swords are completely useless.
Exactly. He looks closer into her eyes and recognizes the truth of her lineage, that she is the illegitimate daughter of his own brother, Odo.
A huge reveal.
In a sweeping, pragmatic move, he officially recognizes her as Princess Omiki, elevating her status instantly to quell the mob.
To calm everyone down.
Right? And to cement this new political reality, he hands her Taka's legendary sword, the Undefeated Spirit, validating her right to wield it.
It's an incredible transformation. And it brings us back to the core mission of our deep dive today. When you are forced to operate in a system that is rigid, toxic, and actively working against you, you rarely win by playing their game by their rules.
You really don't.
Miki didn't defeat the samurai hierarchy by outsword fighting them. She won by importing a completely different currency into the castle.
Grassroots empathy.
Yes. She made herself undeniably valuable to the people at the very bottom, and that groundswell of support forced the people at the top to change their rules to accommodate her.
Taking that a step further, think about the visual we started with, the threefold Tomo symbol.
The swirling commas.
Right, representing the samurai, the shinobi, and the peasantry. It represents a constant balance of forces. Miki mastered all three. But the text leaves us with a fascinating, almost uncomfortable question to consider moving forward.
Oh, what's that?
Miki used radical rule-breaking compassion to tear down the rigid walls of Kumi Castle's hierarchy. But now, Lord Shigenori has legitimized her. She has the royal title, she has the legendary sword, she has basically become the establishment.
Oh, wow.
What happens the day after the revolution?
That is a dangerous pivot.
It is the ultimate paradox of power. It is one thing to use grassroots empathy as a weapon to disrupt a toxic system from the outside, but can you maintain that pure, uncalculated compassion once you are the one sitting on the throne?
When you're the one responsible for writing the rules and collecting the taxes.
Exactly. History is full of empathetic disruptors who become the very tyrants they overthrew once they are burdened with the logistics of ruling.
It's so true.
So as you navigate your own spheres of influence, consider this. Winning the power is only half the battle. Surviving the compromises that come with holding that power is the true test.
Such a fantastic point to end on. You could use empathy to break the wheel, but what do you do when you are handed the steering wheel? Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the rules of the games you find yourself playing. Look for those hidden currencies, and we will see you next time.